Hello everybody, this is Steve Hounsome here and welcome to Tea with the Druid. With me, I will be your druid this evening. So it's Steve Hounsome and my role in OBOD is as mentor coordinator now. I was thinking actually before I started this how far back my association with OBOD goes, which is close to 25 years, which is kind of getting on for half my life, which is a slightly scary thought, which I don't think I'll engage with just now. I spent about 12 years going through the amazing journey of the course. And when I completed that, I began mentoring, which I did for, I think, about 10 or more years. And then I think, what was it, 18 months or so back, I became mentor coordinator, taking over the reins from my illustrious predecessor, Susan Jones. And so before I get into the topic tonight, the sacred nature of divination, I've got a chance to just pay tribute and thank all of our amazing team of mentors because they do an incredibly amazing job, as I'm sure lots of you know if you're doing the course. So just a public tribute and massive thanks to them. Okay, so I'm seeing lots of you signing in and saying hello, which is wonderful. And do let me know where you are. It's great to see people that are here. We've got Alan in County Tipperary, Nicola from Bargode, wherever that might be, Marcel in Cork. Lots of people, Isolina in Portugal, hello, Melissa in Brazil, wonderful, lots and lots of you. And hello and welcome to you all. Thank you for coming to listen to me and see me. So with my role in OBOD, a lot of my years through the course were spent in Ovate. I got really entrenched in that and loved it. The Vedic arts, as they are known, the divinatory arts. And that has been one of my main passions in my personal sort of spirituality. And particularly the tarot. A lot of my own work is done with tarot and divination. And that's why I wanted to chat to you tonight about that, really. Partly because one of my views nowadays, where tarot particularly, but a lot of oracles and different forms of divination, because there are of course loads, it's got a lot more commercial, as have many things of course, but a lot more available, a lot more out there. And my view is that one of the consequences of that is that it tends to get cheapened. You know, it becomes very casual. And for me, that's a sad thing. It takes away. There can be a place for just sitting down, grabbing an oracle card or a tarot card, or putting a rune stone out or whatever, and that's okay. But in a more druidic sense, I feel that we can recapture some of the sacred nature of divination. So that's kind of where I'm coming from and what I want to sort of get across to you, which as druid yourself or wherever you are on the path, I hope you'll kind of have an understanding of and appreciate. So if we look at the term divination itself, you know, when you say to people, "Oh, I'm a tarot reader," or "I practice divination," or whatever, they assume you're a fortune teller. You're going to predict the future. That's what divination does, which it can do if that's your bag. It's not particularly mine, but that's fine. Again, it's all got a good place. But with a more druidic approach to the subject, one of the things that we can do is reclaim the sacred nature of it, because divination itself implies a contact and a connection with the divine, however we conceive that to be. Great spirit, whatever. I'm going to use the term divine because it suits. So that's one of the things we're doing when we practice a form of divination. And so I'd like this evening just to sort of go through a little way of approaching that with you as well and look at that. One of the things I'm just seeing, we've got a chap, John Morgan, there, who are in Bournemouth, just down the road from me. I'm in Poole in Dorset, in the English Riviera of the UK, the deep south of the UK. So hi. But one of those beautiful synchronicities I experienced the other day with this month's Touchstone, there's an article in it. I'm just going to read you a tiny little extract. An article in it called Hidden in Plain Sight from a chap called John Davis. Hello, John, if you're with us. It's a great article. He's talking about the way that the divine communicates, can communicate with us just through nature. Again, we're back to the Vedic arts. But he's quoting Joanna van der Hoven from her blog here, where she's defining divination and reminding us that it has its roots in Latin, and it means to be inspired by a god or the divine. And he says in it, so if we're becoming aware that we're being nudged to develop a divinatory gift, we are becoming inspired by a god or the divine. And with that in mind, with that approach, it leads us into the sacred nature. We're doing something sacred. Our whole lives are, of course, sacred. But in a divination, we can make that a lot more, that connection a lot more conscious. So for me, when we practice it in that way, the process of divination, whether we're using tarot, whatever it is we're doing, it can lead us to what I call our gnosis, Gnosis, gnosis. It's a Greek term really meaning wisdom or knowledge. And the implication of that term from that Greek is that it accepts humanity's nature as a divine thing as well, which in a Druid path we of course do. And that in itself leads us back full circle to the sacred nature of divination. So for me, divination is an encounter with the divine, and what a wonderful thing that is. I'm loving the comments about mentoring that I'm seeing scrolling up here, which is great. With the divination, for me, when I practice it, for me, it becomes a process of realization. In other words, to make real or to reveal something to us. And that revelation, that making real, that realization, that can be a thing of something that we know already, but perhaps not on a conscious level. So there can be a difference, you know, in that. Sometimes we bury stuff that we need to know, or we don't want to look at. We're just having a hard time acknowledging it, whatever it might be. But through the divination, it can become more accessible, more tangible, and it can teach us and guide us. So divination's really got nothing to do with telling you what's going to happen in the future, because we make that ourselves as we go along. So we can approach our divination then as that sacred act and achieve that gnosis. And when we do that, we can have a certainty within. For me, that's what gnosis is. It's a knowing inside of ourselves. Often when one of the things I do is teach tarot and so on, and when I'm doing that, I'm often saying to students, when they ask me, well, how do you know that you're right? And the simple answer is because you know. And that's the essence of that gnosis. You have a sense inside yourself that tells you, I know this for sure, it's a certainty. You might not be able to explain it to any other person, but it's there. You know it in yourself, and ultimately that's really all you need. So what I'd like to just share with you briefly is a little process that you can pick and choose from, as a kind of little guideline really for your own divination in whatever way. Now, one of the things I should say is I refer to tarot a lot because that's my main thing, but I'm hoping this little process is something you'll be able to adapt to, whether you use it for runes or any form of scrying. There's a whole load of divinatory formats out there, and experiment, you know, have fun with it. It's a great thing to do. So performing a divination as a sacred act, first thing is turn the phones off, take away all the external interruptions that we're plagued with these days, turn the computer off, unplug the phone, all of that. So that it's a sign to yourself, okay, this is my time where I'm going within, I'm going to connect with something that's very powerful and very important to me. That's a good attitude to try and adopt. And then also clearing your space, cleaning it, getting out the vacuum, dusting, all of that shifts the energy. It shifts the everyday away because we're not about the everyday stuff. Then we can look at cleaning ourselves. So taking perhaps a ritual bath or shower where we can obviously clean the physical body, but we can clean ourselves on the different levels, refreshing mentally and emotionally, spiritually, energetically as well. We can, as we emerge from the water, we can leave the past behind and bring ourselves into the present, part of that little ritual. Then we can dress ourselves appropriately. Some of you may be practicing druids and you might like to put on your robe or whatever. You might even be skyclad, but not if probably you're reading for a client. I'll leave that up to you. Maybe even just a particular shirt or jumper or whatever you like that becomes your little divination clothing. All helps to set the right mindset, and that's important that we approach it correctly. You may like to, for those of you again practicing as such, cast a circle around you, visualize a sacred grove, whatever you prefer to do that works. But it's all those signs that we're shifting into a different space than the normal everyday. Once we have done that, we can then create our own little divination space. So whether it's a table, an area on the floor, perhaps as I do, I've got mine next to me here, laying out a particular cloth. You can always make that yourself. The best tools are the ones you make yourself. Bringing out cards, perhaps candles, figures of deities if you work with any of those in particular, incense, all of that stuff creates that right setting. And it can be all too easy to think, I don't need to do it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It does. It makes a difference. Then becomes a little time for a meditation, which I'm going to talk you through in a moment or two of just a simple one of the way that I find works for me. Then we can look at the way we whether select our cards, our runes, or whatever it may be. If you're out in the natural world, you might simply look at the trees, commune with them, the clouds, whatever. There is lots of different forms of doing that. Then we allow ourselves a space and a time to respond to that card or whatever system that we're using, observing it, actually look at what either is around us or is on that card, and seeing and feeling inside ourselves, not just what does it mean, but what's it telling us? What does it resonate with us? What kind of response do we need to have with this? And we can then keep that card up, or we can make notes, and the journey can continue. When we practice a divination, it stretches us beyond the boundaries of time. Excuse me. And then once we have done that, we've done that inner work, we've made our notes, whatever, it can be good to give thanks to the divine, it, her, she, whatever, themselves. We clear our space away, we clear the energy away. We may like to smudge the space or drum, chant some almonds, whatever occurs for you. Unwinding the circle, going back to the outer world. So the whole process becomes a journey from the outer to the inner and back to the outer again. So I can see time's racing by that I've got. So what I'd like to do is just share a little meditation that I use very often before, whether I'm seeing a client or just doing an active divination for myself. You can follow this through in real time, as it were. Sitting and closing your eyes, getting yourself comfortable, or you can practice it in your own time or in your own way. So getting into your own meditation space. So whether your eyes are closed or open, but just taking the awareness into your breath, bringing the breath down below the abdomen, breathing from the tummy. Now, we don't want to force that breath. You can allow it to come, but it's finding your own rhythm with your breathing. So just focusing on the breath, drawing the breath in and becoming mindful of the life force, the light and the energy that you draw in with each breath, and allowing that breath to simply flow on the out breath, letting the energy flow with it through your body, through the physical body, but through the energetic body as well, the aura around you, the energy system within you. So you're getting a closer connection, just continuing with that breath, being conscious of the breath. And as you follow that through, you begin to become calmer. Your senses begin to become awake and just being aware of that self. And so you get a closer connection with yourself as this being of energy and a being of light. And mentally remembering and being aware that the energy follows your thoughts, your intention, your awareness. So we can send that energy down to the earth. We focus on grounding ourselves, taking root, visualizing yourself as a tree if you wish to, the roots stretching deep into the Mother Earth, drawing and blending in with her energy, really feeling that deep, stronger connection. You can take that deep and deep down into the earth, feeling that power and sensing it, feeling that connection within you, and you can begin to feel the earth's energy returning back up to you. Earth energy naturally rises, she makes everything grow, including you. So here, that life force, you can simply visualize blending the breath in with the flow of the energy, drawing it up on the in-breath, letting it flow through you on the out-breath. Continuing that process, letting that energy flow through every part of the physical body, expanding out into the energy body, rising through every part of you, rising up the spine, the central column of energy, filling you with light, filling you with the strength, the goodness, the well-being of the earth, feeling that flow through you, letting it rise up, lifting into the heart, flowing further up into the mind, and then up and outwards beyond your own individual being, becoming a closer connection then with the divine, the energy and the light above you and around you, reaching out into the universe, perhaps visualizing a star and sensing that connection, that higher awareness, and letting that light and that energy flow back down, consciously placing your thoughts there, feeling that connection, the life force, the energy, connecting you and guiding you. And then those two energies, below and above, blend in your own center, wherever you're sensing that, and then expanding out, letting that light fill your whole being. Once you're in that space, then just tune to your own being. Take your awareness to the physical body. What's happening in the physical body? Not getting involved in it, just allowing it to be. Just sensing how you are at this time and acknowledging it, nothing more than that. Then come into the heart and sensing, how am I feeling right now? Just acknowledging your feelings. It's just a case of getting aware, not getting involved. So the awareness of the feelings. Then moving the awareness into the mind. Where is my awareness? What are the thoughts going through my mind? And just acknowledging those once more, not getting involved. And then we can bring about that connection, that direct consultation with the divine. We may like to ask questions, setting aside, what do I need to know about this? How can I best respond to this? Rather than a what's going to happen. So just what I'll do as a quick sort of physical demo, I'm just going to select a card from my own tarot deck here. And we can see this card. I can hopefully hold this up so that you can see it. This is a card called the Thinker of Wands. In traditional tarot decks, this would be the King of Wands. And hopefully you can get a quick view of that, this incredibly powerful looking chap. This is, my inner response to this is kind of appropriate for what I'm doing here. This is a guy who tends to respond to his inspiration, which hopefully is something I'm kind of doing. He's somebody who loves to relay what he's sensing, his own inner wisdom. Not saying I've got that, but maybe there's something of that's what the divine is giving me. And that's my immediate response to it. It's a sense I have within me, my own gnosis. So there we are. Hopefully that will have all been of interest to you. I'm amazed that 20 minutes has gone by, and I know we need to sort of draw things to a close. But I will be very, very interested in your comments here. I'm seeing some very good comments already scrolling up there. Patrick's, I will reply to some of these in a little while, but Patrick's comment agreeing here, saying everyone thinks you're a fake or a scammer since there's so many out there. It's so very, very true. But when you know you're not, that's what matters. And the clients or your own people, whoever you're performing divination for, they sense that as well. For those of you interested in the divinatory side of things, obviously you're watching this on the OBOD Facebook page. There is also an OBOD divination discussion. If in the search bar at the top of Facebook you put in OBOD divination discussion, there's a great, very active group with some really interesting topics that come up there, not just limited to tarot, all kinds of stuff. You might like to get involved with that. My own website, if you wanted to have a quick look at it, just a tiny plug, is tarottherapy.co.uk. So the word tarot, then the word therapy.co.uk. You can see everything that I get up to on that. And thank you very much indeed for your time. I hope you found it interesting. Now, I know that this is called Tea with a Druid. I'm lacking a vital ingredient there, which is in fact a cup of tea. So what I'm going to do is go away and make myself a cup of tea, and I will return in a few minutes and respond to some of the lovely comments that are here. So other than that, I wish you very much thanks for tuning in and listening to me prattle on, which I hope you found interesting, and lots of love and blessings to you all. So thank you very much and goodbye.